Hello and welcome to Snetterton, where today this is the Lotus Festival. We'll be seeing racing from the production cars, the 211s and the modified cars, as well as a whole host of other activity.
Well, my father started Lotus in London back in the 40s and moved up to Norfolk in the 60s, and obviously is famous for its road cars and its Formula 1 World Championship winning racing cars. I started Classic Team Lotus. I was involved with the F1 team, but when my family got out of that in the 90s, we needed to look after our collection of cars. So we re-established the workshops at Hethel next to the car factory, and to look after our cars and also provide our services to other owners around the world.
We have a mixed grid of 30 cars. Let's take a look at the full lineup.
Jamie Stanley, the man that will line up on pole position. And after a great weekend at Brands Hatch, he faces tough opposition here from Chris Randall and Ben Pitch, who shares the second row with Steve Williams. The impressive Pat McBennett is on row 3 with David Harvey. Mark Fullerlove, one-time touring car racer, is lower down on the grid. He's a man to watch. So is Doug Setters, who will start 15th on this very varied grid indeed that brings all the classes together. So the field making its way back towards the grid. Ready for the first of the two Lotus on-track Elise Trophy races of the weekend. 5-second board shows the drivers. They've got the lights to go out now. The great start made there from the outside of the front row by Chris Randall. He really has been the man to beat in Lotus racing over the last few years. Jamie Stanley, though, not a great start, and he slips back into what, 5th, maybe even 6th place, going into riches for the first time. Up towards here, Chris Randall it is, who has made the break. He leads the way. As they turn their way now up towards the right-hander at Sear, you're on board with Gavin Kirby. Randall it is up front then. Second looks like being Steve Williams. In third, a very good getaway by the silver car in the hands of Connor Finn. Race leaders making their way down towards the S's for the first time, but Chris Randall with the Lotus Europa that won first time out at Silverstone is already long gone as far as anybody else is concerned. In second place then is Steve Williams. Third, Connor Finn behind him. Very good start indeed that by Finn. Another driver new to the championship this year, and making his way now then through the right-hander of the bomb hole. Out of the S's come the midfield drivers. And what can Jamie Stanley do as well about making up after that poorish start? Steve Williams there in second place. Finn is third as they drop down now with Jamie Stanley 5th towards Russell. Jamie had 2 wins at the A1GP meeting at Brands Hatch and then another great drive up through the field from a pit lane start in the third race. Chris Randall had a win at Silverstone, remember. Sean Bicknell has been the other driver doing winning. He had a win at Silverstone and at Brands Hatch and one at Anglesey as well. On board with Kirby though across the line, end of the lap. This the fight for third place now. Connor Finn has got the recovering Jamie Stanley right up behind him. Jamie with his Honda engine car makes the move up on the inside line, easily outbrakes Connor Finn going into the right-hander at Sear, and Jamie Stanley goes through. Chris Headlam, number 55 there, running with them both, and Headlam I think is about to gain a pace as well as the cars run down towards the S's. Now you can't quite sort out Connor Finn, not for the want of trying though, but it's the Europa that leads all the Elises here then at this Lotus Festival at Snetterton. The Norfolk circuit just a stone's throw away from Lotus's factory as Jamie Stanley gets it all wrong going into the S's. Opposite lock as he tries to correct the car, goes across the grass, back onto the circuit, and how much has he lost out by all of that? I think actually he's gained a place, if not gained one. He certainly stayed ahead of the pack. Let's try and have a look at another shot of that if we can in a moment and just see whether he did lose time and places or whether he even gained any. You see the car getting wrong as he came into the braking zone. Jamie did his best to hang on to it and eventually thought it was safer to go across the grass. He has stayed ahead therefore of Connor Finn. Pat McBennett in the blue car going well. Leading 211s here. Gavin Kirby under real pressure though now as they head down towards the braking area. Right with him is Mark Fullerlove, who came out of the BRDC single-seater championship years ago through into the British Touring Car Championship, into the original Lotus Elise Trophy as well. Fight for 4. Connor Finn, and right on his tail is Ben Pitch as they go now out of the right-hander of Riches up towards Sear Corner, and Ben Pitch going to the inside line, but Connor Finn tries to defend as best he can. Can't do it, and so Ben Pitch goes through, but he runs wide, and that's going to give Finn a chance to fight back on the run down towards the S's now. The two of them almost overlapping, but Ben Pitch will have the inside line for the next corner, the first part of the S's. Now, is he going to be able to break late enough to hang on to the place? Let's see. Goes through on the inside, hangs on to the position. Connor Finn right up behind him as the pair of them sprint their way now up towards the right hand of the bomb hole. Finn down a place, can he fight back? I suspect he might be caught before long by Pat McBennett. Somebody way off there in the weeds, and that looked possibly like 97 Andy Dolan's car. Let's see, we're getting a replay of what happened. Runs wide coming out of Riches, slides across the road, biffs off another car, and then gets spat out left into the field. Glorious weather conditions here at Snetterton this weekend. Chris Randall, the race leader then. And for second place behind him, Steve Williams is about to feel the heat as well, because right there behind him now is the man that started on pole position, Jamie Stanley. The Fox-backed car may not have made a great start, but this normally aspirated Honda engine Elise is right there now in Stanley's recovery drive on the tail, fighting for second place. Through the right-hander they come of Coram Curve, the gap coming down between these two. Jamie Stanley goes to the outside line. Is he going to be able to drive all the way around the outside of Williams? Yes, he is. Really bold move that, coming into Russell, and it pays off. Jamie Stanley goes second, but Steve Williams right back alongside him as they sprint now out of Russell, and he retakes the place. Driving standards flag there being shown, and that for number 55, Chris Headlam, as they go across the line. Steve Williams, though, is back up into second place. Jamie Stanley third as they turn their way up towards Sear. So Stanley has got to make the move all over again, and he does so on the inside going into Sear. Easy that. There was the gap, goes through, but he runs wide, and so Steve Williams thinks we've been here before, haven't we? He's back alongside him, the yellow car with its nose in front, accelerating now once more down towards the S's, and Steve Williams with the Ford Duratec engine, Elise S1, is going to go ahead. Is he on the outside? Let's see. Stanley brakes as late as he dares. Who's going to be second? It is Jamie Stanley. This time he's done it. Turning his way out of the S's. These two, of course, also doing their level best to get onto terms now with the race leader Chris Randall, but it looks as though Chris has built up enough of a gap not to have to worry unduly. Gavin Kirby still heading the 211 class, turning his way left and then right through the S's. Gavin, who started off in the production class a few years ago, has gone very, very well in his limited Lotus racing ever since, goes now down towards the bomb hole. Just put a lap on Neil Lindsay's car there, the novice driver gets out of the way safely. So all the time, Gavin Kirby heading the 211s from Mark Fullerlove. Mark, a more experienced racer, but he's not quite able to stay with Gavin Kirby, or is he? Really quick out of Coram, and that catapults him onto the tail of Kirby. Has a look under braking, coming down towards Russell. This class battle is well and truly joined now. A drive-through penalty for number 8. That is Jamie Stanley. There he is, car number 8, Jamie Stanley, coming towards us, working his way through back markers, but that drive-through penalty, I can only assume, is for that moment he had at the S's, where he effectively cut the second part of the S's out altogether by going across the grass. It seems a little bit harsh, that, because Jamie anyway I'm sure would have been up there, but he now spins, coming out of the right-hander of Sear, loses it completely. Jamie Stanley spins and he tries to get through the traffic. He's going to lose 1 and possibly 2 places as he gets back up to speed. Suddenly the race going from bad to worse for him. He spun himself down the order. He's got to serve the drive-through as well. That's Tony Verrier, who has had a lose coming out of the S's. Well, while all this drama has been going on, we have, as ever, Chris Randall in the lead of the race, going for a second win of the season. But in second place now is Steve Williams, in third is Ben Pitch, and down to fourth is Jamie Stanley. And Jamie will lose yet further ground when he serves the drive-through, which will hopefully be this time. Down he comes towards the complex at Russell this time, into the braking zone. Into the right, then the left, and the gradual right that brings them back onto the pit straight. Does Jamie Stanley go for the pit lane, assuming he's seen the board? He will, he does. In this time comes the man that started on pole position, and Jamie Stanley serving the drive-through penalty. Chris Randall clearing the lead there for second place. The battle's coming alive now between Steve Williams, and tucked up behind him is Ben Pitch as Jamie Stanley, careful not to speed in the pit lane, rejoins. Somebody else having a moment there, just rejoining, coming out of Russell. Vital Chauhan that was in the 340R, back into the race now. Race leader though, Chris Randall, is heading for a second win of the season. This ultra-smart Europa debuted at Silverstone back in April. And an experienced racer too is Chris Randall. He's on target then for victory here at Snetterton as Doug Setters spins the supercharged Honda engine car coming out of Sear onto the grass. No real harm done. He should be able to get going again from there without too much time lost. As Chris Randall now turns his way up through Russell, and he's heading towards the start and finish line, where this time he'll be greeted by a checkered flag. And with it, Chris Randall takes his second win of the season. The Europa wins here at Snetterton in the Lotus On-Track Elise Trophy. For second, though, it's Steve Williams versus Ben Pitch. The Honda engine car of Pitch right on the tail of Steve Williams as they sprint their way up towards the flag, but Williams just hangs on to the place. Together at the end, those two, the gap between them just 0.249 of a second. And the 211 class is going to be won by Gavin Kirby, who has driven really well there to withstand race-long pressure from Mark Follalove at the end of a superb duel in the 211s. So Chris Randall, the race winner, with Steve Williams and Ben Pitch rounding out the top three. Jamie Stanley recovering for 5th ahead of the 211 winner Gavin Kirby. Mark Follalove just behind him. Doug Setters, after his spin, comes home 9th. Paul Harding wins the production class ahead of Mike Davis and then John Lamaster. The 211s, Kirby, Follalove and then Tom Chataway, the top three, whilst the modified brigade headed home by Chris Randall and Steve Williams and then Ben Pitch.
So it seemed that you had pole position the whole way round.
Yeah, it was blinding. I concentrated pretty hard on getting a good start. I knew I needed to, and I did. And Steve got a blinder as well, which did me a favour because it backed everyone else up, including Jamie behind him. And then I was just in fresh air, so I could sort of, chill out a bit, turn in reasonable times, and didn't have to push too hard.
I make my living out of prepping 10 cars on the grid here in production and in modified. I've been racing a long time, and I think that shows a little bit in the racecraft. I can make my car quite wide when I need to.
I just thought I saw the podium finish before me going away, and after that start, but I need to really take some lessons from Steve Williams. He's a blinding starter. But towards the end of the race, Steve's tyres tend to go off. I think he gets a bit enthusiastic, and it's that old classic, I wish I'd had another couple of laps.
Well, we've seen an excellent race from all of the modified cars and the 211s. Coming up after the break, we have of course got production cars, so stay tuned.